Scottish Mortgage is a portfolio of some of the greatest growth companies in the world.
The objective of Scottish Mortgage, to my mind, is both incredibly simple and absolutely central at the same time. It's to deploy people's very often hard-won savings into the best and most promising companies of the future.
What really drives returns for the long-term investor is the impact of a very small, exceptional group of companies. The rapid progress of technology has facilitated a whole raft of new business models, which are creating some very special companies, often run by founder owners with a significant proportion of their own capital tied up in the shares. And those are exactly the type of companies we look to own in Scottish Mortgage for long periods of time.
We've historically said that it's at least 5 years, but I think that really, both in practicalities and in philosophy, has gone up to being somewhere between 10 years and forever.
The explosion of scientific data, and more importantly our ability to capture it, is leading to phenomenal progress in the life sciences and in healthcare.
So one of our favourite investments for quite a long time now has been Illumina, which is by far the dominant provider of genomic sequencing machines in the world. Everybody will remember back the Human Genome Project and the extraordinary tens of billions it needed to develop it. And then the prevailing disillusion for at least the next 10 years. Where was this going? How is it practical?
But what Illumina has done is to allow this technology to emerge from research labs and into the clinic and start making a difference for patients' lives. Investing in progress means investing in the companies that are driving big changes in our economy. Companies like Amazon that are changing the way that we shop, that are changing the way businesses buy their computing infrastructure.
When we first looked at Amazon, indeed when Jeff Bezos first looked at Amazon, trying to envisage what it's become today was almost impossible. Amazon Web Services, the cloud, wasn't really a topic that one could even have believed in at that time. It was meant to be books. Now, this is somebody who's assembled the world's most dominant company, who's become the richest man in the world, but what matters to him is what the next big achievement is. And I think that is an immensely powerful, deeply demanding, but very relevant lesson for us.
What does global really mean? Well, a great example is China.
Over the course of the last, I would say, 5 years, we've become preoccupied, some I suspect would say obsessed, by the scale and the pace of development in China and how the entire model of the economy has been transformed.
Most investors look at China through the eyes of the index makers. It's an emerging market. It should be a tiny proportion of your portfolio. But what we see is the home of some of the world's greatest companies, the world's greatest management teams. And China is an extremely large part of our investment strategy, of the investment portfolio of Scottish Mortgage. We have very long-standing investments in some of the exceptional growth businesses in China.
We know it's owning these big winners that really matters. An example of this over the years has been Tencent, a small messaging service towards the youth of China at one point, which has become one of the top 10 companies in the world by market capitalization.
What we've seen in China is that the big three companies, Tencent, Alibaba, Baidu, funded a whole new generation of exciting growth companies. These companies aren't necessarily listed on stock markets today, but that doesn't mean that they aren't large, that they aren't fiercely independent, and they aren't going after huge opportunities. There are a number of examples of those type of companies in Scottish Mortgage portfolio.
So when we think about our ultimate purpose, we genuinely believe in the intense obliquity of saying, if we help to attain what capitalism ought to be about, all too often isn't, but building companies that contribute to the economy and to society for the future, then if we get that right, not just have we done something worthwhile in itself, but we think the returns will ultimately look after themselves.
The one thing we know for certain about the future is the cost of running a portfolio. And costs, when compounded over years and decades, make a huge difference for the eventual outcome of the saver. We are absolutely committed to keeping our costs low so that our shareholders benefit from the huge amounts of progress available out there. And that's why we believe you should invest in progress with us.